Hi, I'm Greg Crabtree, author of Simple Numbers, Straight Talk, Big Profits. I'm often asked, why would an accountant write a book on accounting? Well, Simple Numbers is really more than a book on accounting. It's really a philosophy about what I've seen in my professional experience of where the accounting profession has fallen short of meeting the needs of the entrepreneur. And it really goes back to, in 2001, I joined a group called the Entrepreneurs Organization, a global organization of entrepreneurs around the world that meets geographically as well as also in a forum. So in that forum of 9 other forum mates, I asked them a simple question. It says, would you rehire your current accountant? And of the 9 of them, none of them would. And so as a net promoter score, the accounting profession scored a 0. And I said, well, what is it that they're not doing? Because obviously they're filing tax returns and producing financial statements. So what is it? And they said, well, it's really 3 things. The first one is, we really don't like the April 15th tax day surprise. And that's something that really is rampant amongst the profession, but it has its challenges. But there are ways to solve it with regular rhythm and interaction with the client. Now, the client may not be willing to pay for it, but there is a way to solve that. And I said, okay, well, I think I know how to solve that. What else? And he says, well, we don't really like being billed by the hour. And so this was really something that the person who got me into EO, Ron Hollis, who was an engineer and a great entrepreneur in his own right, we would have a lot of discussions about business, and we really came down to a discussion one day about hourly billing, and he said, the thing about billing by the hour is there's only 2 possible outcomes. I'm either giving away my expertise or I'm charging for my ignorance. And realistically, that's right. The problem is you can't ever get to equilibrium in terms of value because every hour is worth something different. So I said, okay, well, I understand that. And I could really already started to conceive of some ways to do fixed price billing for services instead of billing by the hour. I said, well, what's the last piece? And it says, well, oh, by the way, you see hundreds of businesses' most intimate details every day. You ought to have some idea what works and what doesn't. And really, that's the point that they were correct about. What we're looking at data, thinking we're doing tax returns or financial statements, we have the most sensitive information that the economist and the Federal Reserve analyst would kill for if they had access to. And really it was a matter of, whereas in most hourly professions you're not going to do anything unless somebody pays you, this was a case where I set out on a journey to, without anybody paying me to do it, is to study the data. And so I took 50 sample companies that I aggregated together in one data set. And it allowed us to create a common communication protocol of one singular way of seeing a balance sheet and P&L across all industries. Now, we had to solve some other problems. We figured out that there's a lot of distortions that are made by choice of the entrepreneur, not intentional in terms of causing confusion to somebody else, but they many times just confuse themselves. And so once we learn how to clear those distortions and create a common format, it allows us to easily analyze the data and really start to look at common business model formats and really solve those problems. And so once we really had that data, that led to the need to really write a book in terms of looking at all of these different concepts and then continue today to add to those practices and learn really the power of things like labor efficiency and capital formation in terms of what really drives an entrepreneurial business to success. And so from that standpoint, it led us to really look at our business model and say, well, this is how we're going to work from this point forward. So instead of being an accounting firm that does some consulting, really the only way that we work with clients today is if we do consulting work for you, we will do the tax returns and financial statements and outsource bookkeeping if needed. But if someone comes to us for those services, what that person is really doing is just buying those a la carte. And we decide that if you start with consulting, it is creating a planned outcome that we then deliver those services. And so from that standpoint, it's really led to a much more cohesive service delivery model for our clients and really serving them in a way that helps them to run profitable businesses that build wealth and make an impact in their communities.